I spoke to a federal official recently who told me that in real numbers, probably closer to 50 million illegal aliens living in the United States right now. So that leaves me confused. So you are watching in real time a digital prison being built around the rest of us on the basis of facial recognition and, quote, real IDs, where you can't conduct any business, you can't travel without verifying you are who you say you are, okay? That's the point of this. It's for our safety. But somehow we can't even know who lives in this country with facial recognition and real IDs? The federal government intrudes into every decision you make in your personal life, but somehow they're totally incapable with all of that technology of telling us how many non-citizens are living here illegally. I call bullshit on that. That's a lie. And I also wonder, like, what is the aggregate number of deportees in the last 100 days? If it's under 1 million, I'll just say I'm disappointed. And I say this to someone who voted for Trump, who loves Trump. I like Tom Homan. But, like, what is this? The scale of this, because this country is so large, is opaque to most people. They don't understand that our country was just completely changed forever, and it's not acceptable. I mean, I happen to live in a place that's really been affected by immigration, by refugee resettlement, which is, I think, a worse problem than illegal immigration, by the way, because at least illegal immigrants are showing a willingness to, put their own butt on the line to get a better life. There's something about that everybody admires. I don't admire anything about a church group, Catholic Charities or the million Protestant groups that move refugees from some refugee camp in Africa into my community where they languish, commit welfare fraud, commit crime. I'm not even attacking them. Like, I feel sorry for them too. You were just living in Sudan or Somalia and now you're living in Minneapolis or Portland, Maine. It's like, I feel sorry for you. No one really cares about the effect on you or your family, obviously. But the net effect on the people who live there is terrible. I can verify that. And no one even mentions it. It's like truly destroying the United States. It's the largest crime ever committed against us. I am not a racist. I'm not even insecure about it anymore since I've been called it so much. It's not in my heart. I'm not a racist. I am a nationalist who loves this country and has no other. And that is a true attack on the United States. And I think we need more resources, more seriousness, and higher numbers. Like,
can I give these to you?
5 million
this
people.
Just hit.
Yeah.
As we were speaking, Bill Malugin of Fox News knew. ICE announces they've deported 65,682 illegals in the Trump administration's first 100 days and have arrested 66,000 and change illegals, 75% of whom have criminal charges or convictions. So we've arrested about 66,000 and we've deported 66,000. So that's a best case scenario of getting rid of or getting custody over about 120,000, Tucker. And that's not great. It's not great. They've been stymied at every turn. The local officials haven't allowed it.
Just do it.
The courts, the ACLU. But I mean, I have to say even this, we're waiting on our big, beautiful bill so President Trump can get funding for his initiatives. Tom Homan's been jumping up and down saying, I have no place to put the people. They do have some certain time where we have to lock them up before we can ship them out while they get their, quote, due process. He's like, I'm running out of beds. So. Like, I need help. That's what he's been saying. But what do you think of that? Because those numbers are low.
Why is it incumbent on us? First of all, stop refugee resettlement in the United States. It's destroyed a lot of communities. It's destroyed communities that I'm very familiar with. Destroyed them forever. So stop that immediately. We have no moral obligation to take a single new refugee, and we shouldn't, period. Second, Mexico. One word, Mexico. Mexico, a country that exists because of our largesse, because we move so much manufacturing to Mexico. I mean, Monterrey, Mexico, which is the economic engine of Mexico, wouldn't be so if it weren't for the United States. And so we have a lot of leverage over Mexico. By the way, they're sending us drugs, we're sending them jobs, and they're also sending us refugees and illegal immigrants from all over the world. How about we just move 1 million people to Tijuana tomorrow and say, you deal with it. You did this to us, you deal with it. And it was intentional. The anti-American sentiment, not among ordinary Mexicans, who are honestly some of my favorite people, I grew up next to them, awesome people, but their leaders hate the United States. They always have since the Mexican Revolution. That's why Leon Trotsky sought refuge in Mexico. There's a reason, because the leadership of Mexico is extremely anti-American, extremely ideologically left-wing, full atheist, by the way, in a Catholic country. It's a super dark management structure in Mexico and always has been, honestly, since the Aztecs. And they have no choice. They're the country that we should be applying pressure to. Here are illegal aliens that walked across your sovereign territory to get into our country. You deal with them, and you cut the deal with Guatemala, and you cut the deal with Honduras or Peru.
What do you make of all the
due
due process? Due process. We have to give them due process before this is the United States. We have to give due process before we kick them out.
Really, I'm for due process, and I am for due process specifically for me. I'm an American citizen. American citizens pay for this system. Their ancestors built this system, and they deserve its fruits. And the first among them is fairness and due process. They're basically the same thing. So that I'm not that concerned whether someone who broke my law to get into my country and is taking welfare from my pocket gets due process. I'm not that concerned. Second, after 3 years of getting a daily lecture about democracy and how it dies in darkness. Democracy. What is democracy? Democracy is the idea that the people in a country run the country. They make the big decisions. They own it. They're not slaves or serfs. They're shareholders in this enterprise called America, and they have a say. So now those same people are telling me that some appointed, unelected federal judge gets to invite 7 billion people into my country, and there's nothing I can do about it? Yeah, I don't think so. I'm not playing along with that. I'm totally for balance of power. I'm for the current system as envisioned, which, by the way, is going away. It's not sustainable with this population. Let's be honest. It's not. Nobody cares about the Constitution anymore. I do, because I'm a legacy American. But none of the newcomers, the 50 million people who just got here, they don't care at all. Why would they? It's not their heritage. It's mine. So you're going to lecture me about that and then tell me that we can't stop anybody coming here on our dime who just feels like coming here? I'm ignoring you. I'm literally ignoring you. What are you going to do about it? That's how I personally feel about it, because that's the end of democracy. You're violating the people's will through your your appointed power, not your elected power. The power does not derive from the population. It derives from the appointment that you got, and you're making the central decision in our society. I don't think you are.
So how do they speed it up? I mean, Trump's done so much, Alien Enemies Act, and he expanded expedited removal, and we're back to remain in Mexico, and he has home and out. Like, how does he speed it up?
The first thing you do is just say, anyone who's a non-citizen of the United States is ineligible for any federal benefit. That means no public schooling. That means no food stamps or SNAP. That means no housing vouchers. That means no benefit designed for American citizens can go to a non-citizen. If you want those benefits, become a citizen. And if you're not a citizen, you get nothing. Why would you? How can you how are we sitting here and watching every small hospital in the United States is going under right now because people who have no right to be here are using the emergency room. Bring your kid to an emergency room outside of like some tiny gated rich community, and you will find out that the whole system is collapsing under the weight. I'm sure they're all good people. I'm not even attacking them. Like, they're doing what I would do. They're using the available largesse to help their families. I get it. We're the criminals here. We're allowing this. So you just say, now on executive order, no non-citizen, period, can receive federal benefits, period. The president can control that. And, then we'll find out who's here for a better life and to bootstrap his way to success, and who's here because there's just a lot of free stuff from a very weak, overindulgent, generationally wealthy country that has lost track of reality. And the reality is open borders and a welfare state cannot coexist.
The nation's second largest city has descended into chaos, with riots for the third straight night, causing massive destruction by lighting cars on fire, destroying property, and attacking law enforcement. All this ostensibly to voice opposition to recent arrests of people who have broken the law. Illegal immigrants who may just be illegals and may have committed other crimes. In most instances, what we're finding on these arrests is, some 118 of them have committed the most heinous crimes one can commit in this country. So you'd think that the Angelinos, the mayor keeps talking about, would really like these people to be removed, but she and her governor appear to be on their side and not on the side of law enforcement. It's total bedlam for the listening audience. It's total. There's some absolute asshole standing there throwing large rocks at full force at cars as they speed by. I mean, you literally could kill somebody doing that. And there are multiple instances of people behaving exactly this way in a depraved manner. You would be charged with murder if that person went off the road and had an accident and somebody died. It's absurd what they're allowing in Los Angeles. The Trump administration has ramped up immigration enforcement in the city. As I mentioned, they've announced 118 arrests of illegals last week, including those, most of them, I believe, with criminal histories in addition to breaking the immigration laws that include second-degree murder, like murder, it's a problem, drug trafficking. Of course, these guys always have crimes against children. They're big fans of exploiting, raping, molesting children as a rule. If you're going to go collect some huge group of illegal immigrants here on Tom Homan's watch, the odds are you're going to find child sexual predators. Again, keep that in mind as we get to the Los Angeles mayor's reaction. The demonstrations began on Friday after ICE officers executed multiple search warrants at workplaces, including a clothing warehouse in the city's fashion district, with protesters attempting to block the agents from doing their jobs. The same day, hundreds of protesters gathering around a federal building after rumors that authorities were holding detainees in the basement of that building. DHS officers fired pepper balls at the protesters before the LAPD dispersed the crowd. Acting ICE Director Todd Lyons saying it took the LAPD 2 hours to respond. I mean, why? What's happening in city after city is they're letting the looters have their fun because they think it's better not to escalate. It's the same thing as we've been seeing at CVS's since BLM. Remember, there was that viral video of the CVS clerk actually trying to enforce the anti-shoplifting laws, meaning theft laws. And that person got blowback because the people who were looting or stealing from the CVS in that case happened to be black. And now you have to get a CVS attendant to get deodorant out of the locked shelf because it's considered escalation if you involve the police when someone's breaking the law. Only now it's spread to actual cops not doing their jobs because cops doing what cops are supposed to do is an escalation. All right, on Saturday, the situation got even worse. The protests spreading to nearby Paramount and Compton, California. We just talked about this video, but we need to re-show it. Look at this. You see a man picking up heavy rocks and whipping them at drivers inside federal vehicles as they drive by. This is attempted murder. Look at this. The depravity to human life is, I don't know, is it stunning? I don't know what it is. It's stomach turning. He did it over and over and over with some of the vehicles trying to swerve to get out of the way. This isn't the presidential motorcade with the beast. They don't have bulletproof glass on the front of those trucks. These guys are there trying to keep these assholes safe. In this video, a man riding a motorcycle, look at this guy, around a burning car while holding up the Mexican flag. Has there ever been a better picture of what we're up against? A lot of the protesters carried Mexican flags with them. Go home. You love Mexico so much. Adios. Get out. Literally, what are you doing? Why are you here? Get out. What other country in the world would stand for this BS? You come here, in most cases illegally. You set our things on fire. You threaten our law enforcement agents. And then you want to parade around with your flag like that's the be all end. Then go home. Get out. Go make your living home in Mexico. We won't miss you. They don't want you either, but that shouldn't be our problem. Get out. I think Americans are sick of this. They're sick of this BS. Why do we have to live with these people? They don't assimilate. They don't like or respect our way of life. They feel entitled to be here, to our public benefits, to health care. We're supposed to take care of them as they burn our cities and harass our cops, waving your Mexican flag. Then get out. You love Mexico so much. Go back to it. All this, not surprisingly, was enough for President Trump to take action, and thank God, issuing a directive to send in 2,000 members of the National Guard to protect ICE agents and restore order. Why didn't you do that, Governor Newsom? Why didn't Karen Bass mobilize the LAPD to protect ICE agents and restore order? Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth also putting the Marines at nearby Camp Pendleton on, quote, high alert if the violence continues, some 500 of them by latest reports. Rather than expressing thanks for the help, Governor Gavin Newsom called sending in the National Guard, quote, purposefully inflammatory, and said that Secretary of Defense Hegseth's threat to send in the Marines was, quote, deranged behavior. But President Trump says this is about law and order. Watch.
What is the bar for sending Marines to
the bar is what I think it is. I mean, if we see danger to our country and to our citizens, we'll be very, very strong in terms of law and order. It's about law and order.
Governor Newsom has now formally requested that Mr. Trump pull out the National Guard troops. It's unbelievable here. He says he'll sue. He's going to sue if Trump doesn't. Because Newsom says this is not about immigration enforcement. It's about Trump's, quote, authoritarian tendencies. Very, very concerned about children of illegals being separated from their families under President Trump. Under President Biden, did not appear to give two shits about it. I didn't see the lead NBC News report last week as we heard about the number of them who are now being found in the hands of these so-called sponsors the Biden administration found for them who are molesting them. See, Jacob Soboroff, in my opinion, only cares about the illegal children when it can hurt President Trump. Then it's helpful to him. But if President Biden placed them in danger intentionally, who would give them to sponsors who had not been vetted, who are single men, who are also illegals? Does that sound like a good idea to anybody? NBC loses interest. President Trump has said officials will face charges if they get in the way of law and order. Governor Newsom, who landed last night in L.A. to manage the response to the riots. Nice to finally see you, sir. Great. It's been going on for days. He's such an actor. I mean, that man doesn't have a sincere bone in his body. He's such an actor. The hell are they doing? I'm like, what? Okay, tough guy. He's got like Matthew McConaughey vibes. And I don't mean that flatteringly. Kamala Harris, because of course everybody was wondering, what does Kamala Harris think? I can't think of a subject on which I would actually ask myself that question. Maybe when somebody tried out a crappy Jamaican accent, I might be interested. When somebody used the phrase duality or unburdened by what has been, she might come to mind. Like, that's it. Not here. But she's decided to be Chief Angelino. She's an LA resident, speaking out, saying the ICE arrests are, quote, part of the Trump administration's cruel, calculated agenda to spread panic and division. Division. Trump is the one responsible for division out there in LA. Okay. He's trying to get rid of criminals so that your children and mine don't have to grow up in cities like LA, where they're running around behaving criminally with impunity. She claimed the National Guard deployment, quote, is a dangerous escalation meant to provoke chaos. And she called the protests, of course, this is the cherry on top of the sundae, overwhelmingly peaceful. Overwhelmingly peaceful? There is a line after like car after car after car that has been set on fire. They are literally launching commercial grade fireworks at law enforcement. That's according to the LA police chief. Overwhelmingly peaceful? Tell it to the cop who gets hit in the heart by a commercial grade firework, you cretin. Similarly, Spartacus, Cory Booker, as of yesterday, was still calling protests, quote, peaceful. Elizabeth Warren, Chief Lies a Lot, was still talking about the right to peacefully protest. I mean, she lies a lot and she's doing it right here. Does this look peaceful? You have around 2,000 anti-ICE rioters who took over the LA 101, the freeway, causing the road to be shut down for over an hour before police could disperse the crowd. Here's video of protesters throwing objects at California highway patrol vehicles from an overpass. Do you know how dangerous this is? You are asking for people to die. This is lethal behavior, a total disregard for law enforcement, for life. LAPD's police chief saying about the riots, quote, "We are overwhelmed." Okay, we're overwhelmed. But you've got Harris and Newsom ripping on Trump. He's trying to sow chaos. This wasn't necessary. We had it. We had it in hand. Your police chief says you're overwhelmed. He's overwhelmed. The cops there are overwhelmed. They're facing a lethal threat and getting no help. That video, by the way, was taken by Cam Higbee, a local freelance reporter on the scene who's been providing invaluable updates over the weekend. Go Cam. Rioters also targeting these Waymo self-driving taxis owned by Google's parent company, smashing their windows. Okay, great. I mean, remember, we're not supposed to care about destruction of property. We learned that during BLM. You're not allowed to care. If it's just a car or a building or a storefront that's actually owned by a live human, it doesn't matter. You're not allowed to care or you're a racist. Lighting the mall on fire, unbelievable. A spokesperson for Waymo says the company cut off service to the area. Cool, good call. And is removing vehicles from the streets due to all the destruction. Look at this photo. This sums up everything. You listening audience, you got to go 10 minutes into the show and look at this on YouTube. It sums up the whole thing. A rioter smashing one of these Waymo cars while another burns nearby with other protesters in the background where the Mexican flag can be seen and the person on top of the car is shirtless with some sort of a bizarre S&M looking mask. I'm not sure what's going on here. I think we're working through a lot of people's fetishes, damaged childhoods, and those childhoods, more often than not, were probably in Mexico.